Series are starting to make a difference to the environment by introducing eco-friendly paper straws to their 200 ml juice cartons. iloveza.com, in collaboration with Series, are starting up a conservation conversation with some industry experts.
Welcome to Conservation Starter. I'm your host, Ziyaad Plaatjes. Welcome to the show. Today on Conservation Starter, we have Lorato Mokone, the founder of African Sea Divers. Welcome to the show, Lorato.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Lorato, tell us about African Sea Divers and your role in the organization.
African Sea Divers was launched back in 2019. The aim of African Sea Divers was to introduce more and more people to water activities, especially those who are inland. Because when you talk about scuba diving, people think that you should be in the coast in order for you to learn how to scuba dive or to do scuba diving courses. So I actually brought it home here in Pretoria. So we train most of our divers here. We also not only doing diving, we also specialize in swimming lessons. We also do basic first aid, and then a bit of it is it's environmental safety. Also one of the scuba diving instructors at African Sea Divers.
Okay, how many instructors do you have?
So, but in the meantime, it's only me, but then we're also looking at expanding the business.
Okay, and how long have you been doing?
In Pretoria, as I said, it's only since 2019, and then I was based in Mozambique as a lead scuba diving instructor since 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you spend most of your time underwater. That's
Yes.
correct. Okay.
Yes.
And you see the effects of the sea pollution
Yes.
on the animals underwater. What experiences have you come into contact with?
This one particular experience that I actually wanted to share with you. We were coming from a dive. We were out on a boat, and then something caught the corner of my eye from the back line. And then it seems to be a flotation device. We actually call it a buoy. It was quite bright in color. It was reddish. I actually told the boat driver, we call them skippers, to actually drive closer to an object. And upon getting closer to it, I noticed that it's definitely a buoy line with a line on it. I just couldn't see what was under the line because then it was plus minus, let's say, 2.5 meters. I then asked the skipper to stop. I put my mask and snorkel to investigate, and I noticed it was a turtle being hung onto this buoy. So as we all know that turtles mostly feeds on a reef. So in this situation, it looked like the turtle couldn't feed. For how long, I do not know. Likely we dive with knives. I actually took one of my knives out and I asked the crew members to also jump into the water. And what was very magical about this turtle, it didn't resist or anything. It just lied still. We cut it free, and then from there on, the first thing it did, it dived to the bottom of the reef. It started feeding, and then that was the end of the story.
Yeah, you're a hero there.
Yeah, I actually got a footage of this as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be nice to see.
Yeah, I've got the footage. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, that's quite an experience. So it was tangled in the buoy, or was there something else that had?
It was actually tangled on the rope of the buoy. Okay. So the buoy floats.
Yeah.
It's tangled on a rope, and then I think the more it tries to free itself, the more it got tangled, and then I think that was very magical because then what happened is if it happened out at sea, we were not going to see it.
Yes.
So I think because of the waves, it was actually washing. It was just behind the back line, and I think if we didn't spot the turtle, it was just going to wash out to the shoreline, and then of course it wouldn't stay long enough out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereabout was it?
This was in Ponta Malungan in Mozambique.
In Mozambique.
Yes.
Okay. So you travel to Mozambique quite often?
I used to work there since 2013, 2012.
Okay. With your travels to Mozambique, was there any places, hidden gems that we should know about, or something?
Okay, cool. So that the hidden gems that I used to work in Mozambique, not there, but then there is this particular story maybe we can chat about, which happened here in Pretoria. There is a place actually in Naboomspruit, in Limpopo, and the farm's name is called Adande Game Farm. What I've noticed while I was there is the guys are actually doing recycling. So what they will recycle is mainly your glass, cans, and paper. But then what actually caught my attention is what we call earthworm farming. So because of they host a lot of conferences and weddings and big, large events, they will always have food scrapes. Okay, when the party is finished,
Yeah.
and then what they will actually do is they will take the food scraps and feed it to the worms. Okay, the worms will obviously eat those the food, and then from there on they will actually use the worm poo to create a fertilizer. Because then they're in a very big farm and they've also got beds, so they're using that fertilizer to grow more flowers and also to grow more trees.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. How can we educate or encourage South Africans to stop polluting our rivers, our seas, our oceans, and just basically preserving and conserving the sea life?
Okay, cool. I would actually like to take that story a little bit back on how African sea divers came into existence. I was back in one of the townships in Mamelodi, just on the start of 2019. I was then sitting with friends, and then we were eating out of these plastic containers. And after finishing off our food, one of my friends took that plastic container and he threw it on the street. I then asked the person, but why will you do something like that? And he actually mentioned that, he's creating jobs, because then the more people litter, there will be more people to come and pick up that stuff. In my mind, I kind of knew that plastic takes plus minus 450 years for it to break down. And then by the time the workers come and pick up the waste, because we might have rain, we might have floods, we might have wind, that plastic won't be where it was last littered on. So basically, what I think should happen is we should start with recycling project definitely in our local communities, but then also we should stop, or we should educate our people to stop thinking that when you litter, you're actually creating a job. That's the definitely wrong mindset to have.
Choose nature. Choose turtles. Choose tomorrow. Choose to make a difference. Choose eco-friendly paper straws. Choose series.
So you're talking about recycling projects. I don't know if you know, recently they had International Coastal Cleanup Day on the 18th of September. In your opinion, are these kinds of initiatives effective, or are there more sustainable ways, like you said, recycling, or anything else that you think would be more effective for us as South Africans to do?
I think what will be more effective when it comes to that is, I feel as if, when there is an International Cleanup Day, I feel as if people just clean for that particular day, and from there on, nothing happens. So what I definitely think people should do is we should try to conserve our water. We should also try to reuse our water, and also try to, instead of plastic, we should rather use paper bags. And then we should also limit the use of chemical use that can work itself to the ocean.
Okay. African Sea Divers teaches people to swim and also scuba dive. Why are these skills important to learn?
According to the stats, it's based on the 2020 stats. There is over 600 kids that drown every year in South Africa. And most of your drownings, as you know, is between KZN and Gauteng. Okay, so basically what's happening is by teaching people how to swim, we will automatically eliminate or reduce the unnecessary drownings that we have here inland. According to me, I actually think swimming should have been a compulsory sport, especially at primary school. When it comes to scuba diving, I was actually one of the people that used to litter up until I was introduced to scuba diving. I then noticed that we are not only learning on how to breathe underwater, but then we are learning on how to respect and protect our oceans.
You've started to add swimming lessons as well. Why did you decide on that?
There is a very huge gap when it comes to swimming in South Africa. My first thought when I started African Sea Divers was to obviously teach people how to scuba dive. But then I started realizing that the people that I wanted to teach scuba dive, they were not very familiar with the water. So I had to now break the business down. So what we actually do is we actually teach the people how to swim first, and once they are familiar in the water, we then take the courses a little bit further into scuba diving.
Okay. Where about here in Pretoria do you go to scuba dive?
So basically, if you're looking into Gauteng, there's over 29 municipality swimming pools. The swimming pool that I use mostly is the one in Brooklyn called the Young Swimming Pool, and then therefore there is two dams. So one is in Joburg, we call it Best Lake, and the other one, which I use a lot, it's called Miracle Waters in Brits, just outside Pretoria, and that's where we do our qualifying dives.
Okay, and how far underwater do you take them?
It depends on your qualification. The recreational limit for scuba divers is 40 meters. So the first course that you'll do, it's called, it depends. You can either do the Discover Scuba course, which is a once-off thing, and that will only allow you to go to a depth of 12 meters. And then if you require a license, you will then do your open water course, and that will limit you to 18 meters of depth.
Okay, Lorato, in the African culture, there's this fear of swimming, and we've just grown up being afraid of getting into the water because there's either sea serpents or there's something strange and mysterious in the water. How do you overcome this to get the people swimming?
So basically, to refer to the question, I call it the lack of knowing, as easy as that. So basically, what happens is we meant to believe that there's things in the water that will catch us and bite us, and we swim, we can't go back. Now, I refer to it as the lack of not knowing. So I feel as if the right information is not reaching the people. So people like us, we want to go out there and educate people and tell them there is no such things in the water. You need to learn to swim the right way, therefore you will be safe in the water.
Is scuba diving really an expensive sport?
Scuba diving, it's expensive, yes, but it's a doable sport. So we are trying to make it less expensive for our participants. So how do we reduce the cost is that we rent out gear so that a lot of people can enroll with our courses. That way it then works out a bit cheaper. We don't want our people to go buy the gear because then that's where scuba diving tends to get a little bit expensive. We actually provide you with the gear during your training sessions.
Are there any initiatives or projects that African Sea Divers is involved in, or anything that's close to your heart that you might know about, that you want other people to know about?
So when it comes to that question, we as African Sea Divers, we have not done any initiatives here inland, but there used to be a guy back in Mozambique that I used to work very close with. His name is Ronaldo. What Ronaldo did is he saw that most of our beaches were very dirty. So he then started a project with a local school where he will take kids and then they will take 2-liter bottles, okay? And they will then fill those 2-liter bottles with microplastics because then he actually didn't want that plastic to go back into the ocean. Now, his idea was quite amazing. So what he will then do, he will tell kids to get this bottle, okay, this 2-liter Coke bottle to a certain weight, okay? We actually call them eco bricks. So what he will then do is he will then let the kids hand in the eco bricks, and then in return he will then give them stationery. So the kids, because of, you understand, in a place like Mozambique, it's a very disadvantaged community where I used to work. So the kids value stationery. And it was not only stationery, he also used to give clothes for that. So in that, he created a thing whereby kids will then go to the coastal area and they will pick up these plastics as part of education awareness around plastic as well. And then when I last spoke with him, he told me that he's not gathered enough eco bricks, but then the aim here was for him to go and build a school using those eco bricks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me, Lorato, how does one get in touch with African sea divers?
So we are on our website is www.africanseadivers.com. You can also find us under all social medias under African Sea Divers.
Okay. Thank you very much for the chat, Lorato.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next week on Conservation Starter. Tune in and stand a chance to win some awesome prizes. Join the conversation on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Hashtag Series Paper Straw Challenge and hashtag Keep ZA Clean. Subscribe to us on YouTube and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn at iloveza.com and log on to our website www.iloveza.com.